Okay, so here's something that I don't usually do whenever it comes to Criterion sales, but it's July, it's sale season, so I wanted to go ahead and make a quick video about some of the stuff that I've picked up just now. We'll go through them one by one. It's going to be real quick, just kind of a lazy offshoot video, and I'm going to do another one when I go back on Tuesday. So, uh, most recent gets, as it were, top three over here. We've got two films by King Hu, the influential Wuxia films, Dragon Inn and A Touch of Zen. Fantastic, amazing, beautiful, lyrical, uh, really the best. And I mean, these are stacked editions right here, and these are your standard uh, single disc releases by Criterion. I've been meaning to pick these up for a long time. I'm a huge fan of Chinese cinema and their perspective on action filmmaking, so uh, this was one of my immediate things that I had to go and get. For all y'all who make it through this video, there's kind of a cool surprise at the end. Uh, Next up, these are all from the Barnes& and Noble Criterion sale that's happening right now. Next up, Byron Haskins' 1953 classic, War of the Worlds. It's one of the uh, most referenced, influential adaptations of any of H.G. Wells' works, easily. And I think, in places, tops any other adaptation of the same story, especially Spielberg's. This edition right here, it goes with kind of a very kitsch design, which I like a lot. The the artwork is just fantastic on the front. I love it. I want to get a poster of this, honestly, to put on the wall. Um, and it comes with so much fantastic, supplemental material. We've got commentaries. Uh, we've got H.G. Wells, of course, or Orson Welles, um, famous radio program, and a conversation between Wells and Wells. You know. Oh, and also, of course, an essay by Jay Hoberman representing, and who more appropriate than him to talk about this movie? Um, so there's that. That's fantastic. I know another release came out overseas, I believe, just as this was announced, and I actually kind of want to get that and dive into it too. But for right now, I'm really excited to see what Criterion did with this. Uh, Next up, we've got a fantastic adventure film by Cornell Wilde, The Naked Prey. Uh, if I could describe this to anybody offhand who hasn't seen it, it's pretty uncomfortable, but it's kind of like a good old-fashioned boys' adventure story. It's a bit kind of like Apocalypto. It's a single-man chase across the landscape. Uh, Very propulsive filmmaking, which I understand. I wasn't looking at the box, but that's a word I guess they use to describe here. But it definitely is. This is visceral stuff. Really elemental. It's pretty fantastic. Now, I saw this initially when I downloaded the Criterion channel for the first time because I was trying to pay attention to adventure filmmaking, early action filmmaking, things like that. And this is well, not necessarily early, but it's a good example of, I guess, the prototypical example of, I guess, like stripped down 60s elemental raw action filmmaking that was then becoming in vogue with movies like this. And on the other end of the spectrum, I guess, Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns, and I guess it was more of like an osmosis sort of thing. So there's that. Oh, also can't wait to watch it in HD. Haha. We have now Voyager, which, to be fair, is by Irving Rapper, of course. Which, to be fair, is a classic, but it's also kind of a soap opera. Probably the best of its kind, but it's got Claude Rains, it's got Betty Davis. I mean, you can't go wrong there. Uh, this features two radio adaptations, which I love when they do things like this, or when they have different adaptations of the same thing, or however you do. Um, this has selected scene commentary, which is always interesting, rather than a full, a full commentary. Um, I'm really excited to watch this. I've only seen it a couple of times, and it bared repeating, and I was really glad that Criterion put this out. I haven't studied it as much as I have some of the other films that I got, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. we have Le Petit Soldat, or The Little Soldier, Jean-Luc Godard's second film. And this is really interesting. I wanted to pick this up because, of course, it's his second film, so it's, him when he was younger and more hungry. This is directly off of Breathless. And one other reason that I wanted to pick this up was because it's kind of a contrast. This was filmed, I think, 3 years before Gilo Pontecorvo's, I hope I said that right, Battle of Algiers, which is one of my favorite movies in the whole world, for how visceral and in the moment, and how politically intelligent it is in its approach to the Algerian Revolution. Um, so this is actually kind of interesting because it's, I guess, a more Anglo perspective, morally ambiguous, but at the same time, it's also Jean-Luc Godard, I guess, analyzing the brutality of both sides. A man who's in the middle of what's going on, which I can't wait to check out, honestly, just for that reason. Make an interesting counterpoint, an interesting contrast, maybe a good double feature with Battle of Algiers. So, it's going to be really cool to check out. All right. We've got, of course, the first Mr. Ripley film, Purple Noon, by René Clément. This is an excellent movie. I've seen it a bajillion times. I know the later adaptation with Matt Damon has its fans, and I like that one too, but this one is so stylish, so thrilling, and it's kind of a travelogue of France in its way. It's really, really good. It's one of those films where there's, there is a portrayal of, I guess, homosexual obsession in this film that is done without too much subterfuge, which for the time I think was pretty daring. And at the very least, although I wouldn't necessarily call it homosexual obsession, it might not be kind of PC, but it's a sort of it veers back and forth, I think, for Ripley. And what he wants. Does he want to be with Greenleaf? Does he want to be Greenleaf? It's unhealthy all the way around. But this is one of my favorite thrillers. That's really, really fantastic. It's fantastic work. And yeah, I know I'm saying that, and I got it on DVD rather than Blu-ray, but I only so much money to go around. Okay, so there's that. The other thing I picked up that I'm really excited to kind of dive into, Kurosawa was one of my favorite filmmakers, and this has been so hard to find. The first films of Akira Kurosawa from the Eclipse series. I've been looking for this forever, and the post-war Kurosawa set as well. So on this, we've got his first 5 films, or first 4 films. I've seen literally none of these. I've seen all of his more notable work, but I mean, my favorite films of his are like Seven Samurai, Yojimbo, Ikaru, High and Low, Throne of Blood. I mean, they're all just really amazing. Ron, this. Of course, it being an Eclipse series, it's bare bones. There's not really any extras to go around. There's not anything like that. It's just the films themselves presented in the most basic packaging. But that's fine for films like these because, I mean, what I do know about these films, having peeked through a few of them, is that you can see his identity as a filmmaker developing. But he isn't quite there yet. I mean, he actually has an out-and-out propaganda film right here, which, is a type of, I mean, that's a type of work that I don't think he would ever be into later on. This, of course, has, like all of Criterion's Kurosawa releases, notes by Stephen Prince, The Warrior's Camera is a fantastic book. I've got a copy of that in my library as well somewhere. So, yeah, can't wait to get into it. Also, too, as well as the Criterion sale happening right now, Walmart, for some reason, started stocking up on Shout Factory titles, which who knows why. Really hard to find ones, as a matter of fact. So, we've got Sleepaway Camp, the fantastic Sleepaway Camp, which is bizarre and weird and notable and strange, and not to say it's necessarily an enlightened film, it being the 80s, but, it is, you know, it does feature, I guess, a non-binary killer at the end, which, uh, that's equal opportunity, I guess. And the ending, of course, is shocking, which is pretty cool. Um, so can't wait to dive into this. One of my favorites when I was a kid. We've got Starman by John Carpenter. I've only seen this once, and it was $10, and that's a really good buy for, Shout Factory, Scream Factory releases like that, and they had so many of them too. So this is going to be kind of cool. I mean, I'm really building up a collection of Shout Factory's, John Carpenter's releases. So there you are. We've got Dirty Rotten Scoundrels here. The fantastic, the famous. What more can be said? I really want to get into this as well. I actually haven't seen this. If you can believe that, I have not seen this. Um, so we've got. It's not the most packed edition in the world, but recently as well as this, previously I also picked up. You can find Roadhouse, Escape from New York. You can find Big Trouble in Little China, and a lot of other great releases. Brewster's Millions as well. They're all at Walmart. You can find them when you can. They're about $10, $12, $15 maybe a piece, and there you are. Now. Here comes the big surprise at the end. Now, this is the one that I was the most excited for, and I'm not even going to take it out of its packaging, so we're going to go ahead and put the phone down for a second. Now, here's the real crown jewel of my pickups for this season so far. This I've hunted for years and years and years since it went out of print. Arrow Videos, Hellraiser, The Scarlet Box. This is actually a Region B release, but reduced price. I actually received this from a seller named... we're not going to say his name, but from Serbia all the way here. This is a fantastic edition that contains pretty much everything you could ever want about, the only 3 good films in the series, but they're influential enough. They're amazing, they're gothic, they're surreal, they're macabre. I mean, these are some of my favorite horror films in the world, and this set is just stacked. It's got a 200-page book. It's got a whole disc about special features, specifically dedicated to Clive Barker and his work and his short films. You've got special features on every film, a continuous documentary spanning all 3 discs, as well as archival featurettes. I have lusted over this set for years. I haven't even fully unwrapped it from the protective plastic wrap that he put around it to protect it during its long travels. Now, I had to rescue this from a terrible roommate and wrong addresses, and it took 2 months to get here, and luckily it made it in fantastic condition. So yeah, this is going to be one of the crown jewels. It sits atop with some of the other hard to find sets and some of the other pieces that I get once I get my collection set back up again. Now, there's that, but I will tell you, never let it be said that, that Arrow is going to win this race out, because while this is, bar none, a crown jewel of a release right here, Criterion, look at that stack. Look at that stack right there. I don't have many other releases that I want to pick up for the sale, but the one thing that I do want to pick up, the 2 of them, are the Bruce Lee set and Marriage Story and The Lady Eve, The Lady Eve. So those 3, and I'll give you an update then. So I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.